we are pretty much done with the current school year and are just kind of working on the summer school that I had laid out for us. But because we don't take a full summer break, I am jumping right into getting ready for our coming school year. And that touches on what I'm sharing with you today, which is my new homeschool planner. And I am excited to be able to both share it with you guys today and to be able to start using it myself. Hey and welcome. Thanks for joining me today as I share with you my homeschool planner. So, last year I just used a generic undated planner off Amazon. I took it to like Office Depot and got a spiral bound, and it worked fine. I didn't dislike it, but this year I kind of wanted to try something new. So I looked months ago. I started looking at every planner under the sun. I'm an early and over planner, so I started like in December or January. I don't even remember. And I looked at all the undated planners on Amazon, and I mean, I looked at all of them. I looked at all the brand name planners that you hear homeschool moms talking about. I looked on Etsy. I looked everywhere. And when I finally stumbled across this one, I thought, "Oh, I like that. That would work for me." So I reached out to the company and I asked if they would be interested in sending me a copy to share with you guys, and they generously said yes. So I want to send a big thank you to the Well Ordered Homeschool for sending me their brand new 2025-2026 edition homeschool planner. Now, this is a dated planner, this one. But they do have an undated option. So if you're one of those people who's like, just the dated thing doesn't work for me, their undated planner is virtually identical as to layout. The front and cover is different, but the layout inside is the same. So if you like this, there's an undated planner option. I will link to both below if you're interested in checking either one out. But I'm really excited to be able to try using this year. Something that's just a little bit more custom than what we used last year. Last year was fine, but it was a big blank empty slate, and there were some things that were too empty for me and I just didn't utilize them. I felt like there was too much empty options. This, I feel like, gives plenty of room for what I need. It has all the pages that I feel like I need, but it doesn't have a ton of extra that I feel like I'm bound to fill out whether or not I need them. So I am going to let you see inside this. I want to flip through it with you guys and show you the things that I really, really like about it, and just let you see it so you can see if it's something that you are interested in as you start planning for your homeschool year. All right. So when this arrived, this was in plastic wrap already. I obviously have opened it up and looked through it already, so it is no longer. But one of the details that I love, and it's not instrumental to how it will work out in our year, but I just love that it came packaged in this beautiful box. It's just one of those like little touches, and I feel like the little things say a lot. So it came beautifully packaged in that, but then the actual planner itself is also gorgeous. So it is a hardcover um, planner. And as you see, it is ring bound, so you can flip it all the way open, which is one of the things that I really, really wanted. If I'd gotten a paperback, I would have had to take it and had it bound for me because I use them. I don't have so much room on my table that I want a planner laid out fully open. Okay, so in the very beginning, it has this little pocket here on both sides so that if you have any miscellaneous stuff that you want to add to your planner, you can. This is not quite as heavy as cardstock. It's a thick, heavy paper quality. It's matte. It's pretty. I like it. And then you've got your opening page here. And then just a 2-page spread from Well Ordered Homeschool, just telling you the purpose of each of the pages that are in this planner, help you use them. And then you have your year at a glance. Because this is the 2025-2026, this is all filled out. They have your federal holidays for each year, which I kind of appreciate because I always forget when those are. And then we open up into a little bit of a planning or vision board. So you've got your just note space to dream. Start by mapping out what you want your year to look like. So they encourage you to pick your top 3 words that you want your homeschool to look out and then kind of brainstorm some ideas to implement that and answer the following questions, which are: what do you hope your children will say about their homeschooling experience in the future? What do you hope they will say about you as a homeschooling mom? And what's one thing you can change right now to help turn these visions into reality? So I kind of like this. It's simple. I know a lot of homeschool planners have these like spaces to figure out and plan, and sometimes they're too much for me. This was simple enough that I was like, oh, I actually could see those being pertinent questions that are good for me to consider as I'm going into the next homeschooling year. And then we jump right into the meat of it. So this planner is laid out for 5 homeschool students, which is one of the things I really, really like. I do not have 5 students. I have 2.5 this year. My youngest one will want to be in on it, but next year I'll have 3. But sometimes it's hard to use a single spread for all of your kids. So I like that they have all these planning pages and all the options laid out for 5. So you'll see this is your curriculum plan where you mark down for each child. You get to put your child's name here, what subjects they're going to be doing, and then what you're going to be using for those subjects. And then they have 5 of those so that you can use that for each child, and you're not trying to like put your high schooler in with your middle schooler as you're trying to figure out what you're doing. Like, you get to plan for each child individually, and I really, really appreciate that aspect of this planner. These papers are nice quality. Um, I don't think you can see any bleed through when I lift it up, maybe a teeny, but the light's coming through. But they're nice quality, they're clean, just simple. I love the way it's laid out. You have a yearly overview for each child. Again, you can plan this out for each individual child. So you will have 5 of these, 1 through 36. So you have 36 weeks is divided by quarter, which actually works well for me personally because we do our homeschool in quarters. I know not everybody does, but I do. So you can lay out each quarter for each child individually. And then we jump into a loop schedule option for each child. Now, personally, I don't do loop scheduling, but I know there's a ton of people out there who do, and I have not seen many homeschool planners include that as an option. So if you are a loop scheduler, this might be something that you would really, really like. Um, I'm not sure how I'm going to use this or if I'm going to use this, but it is in here. So there's one for each page where you can select your core or non-core subjects that you want to add into the loop and anything that you might need for that. And they have one of those or 5 of those, like I said, for each child. So you could do each one individually, or you could use one of these as a family loop if you prefer that. And then you have 5 sections for your daily master schedule. So you can lay out each child individually at how you want to kind of organize their school during the day. And then we have a to memorize page. This is not for each child. This is a kind of, as a family, they have 2 front and back laid out by months. And we do actually do some memory work in our homeschool, and I plan to do more this year, so I do like having that page. And then front and back field trips where you can put your notes, your details, where to, date, cost, address, website. So any field trips that you do in your homeschool, there are front and backs. That would be 10 field trip sections. And then we have a page for family read alouds along with an independent reading list for, guess how many? 5 children. My oldest will do some independent reading. My youngest will not. I may actually adapt one of these independent lists to be an extension of our family reading list. But I like having these here all kind of in the same spot so that I can see what each one is reading individually, assigned or not. And then you have a pretty little notes page. And I do like that in some of these pages, they put this, like, I don't know what you call this, but the flowers in the background. It's not going to affect the way I plan, but prettiness matters sometimes. It's just in the details. So, and then we jump into each month. So I'm going to kind of just, I don't know, I'll pick November and we'll kind of flip through the month. Now, so one thing you can note is each month, like I said, they have these pretty little like flowers on the back. Each month has a different flower in their pages. So I like that. I like that it's a little bit of variety throughout. But this main tabbed page, and I do like that they put the tabs in for me, is the same, except that the back pages are different when you flip it over. The background colors for this pattern are different for each month. So just, again, a little bit of variety is nice. So when you go into the month, you have your November overview. I like, again, the simplicity while still being guided. This isn't a big blank empty page that I have to figure out what to do with, but it's blank enough that I feel like if I don't like the options, I could convert it, but I actually do like the options. So your top 3 goals, your quote or verse for this month, your character focus for the month, just a brain dump space, which I actually use that, a to-do list, and a purchase list. So simple and things that I will actually use and find valuable, not just stuff that I feel like I need to fill in because the page is there. And I like that. And then we go into our month spread. For me, I love the fact that this is dated. It's going to work well for me. But like I said, they do have an undated option. So you have your basic spread, very simple, and just a spot for notes. And then your coming month's dates here so that you can use that if that's useful. And then you go into the weeks. Now, this is one thing that I really liked about this planner as opposed to some others. Some planners have it laid out where all of these monthly spreads are all in one spot. You have, January through December, or where it starts to where it finishes, all in one spot. And then you go to all your weekly spreads all in one spot. And I like that this is divided by month, that it has the month spread, and then it has the weeks that pertain to that month, and then another month spread, and then the weeks that pertain to that month. That method of layout just seems so much more useful to me because then I don't have to flip to this part of the planner to see the month and this part to see the week. It's just all here. But this page in particular is one of the things that sold me on it because I like the layout of the days on the top and the subjects going horizontally. Now, you might go well, what about homeschool planner or an undated planner? Because then you could do that yourself. But a lot of the planners aren't laid out with the right amount of sections that way. Because I was looking at that, but they just didn't lend themselves to that function. But because I use this, I fold it over and I use this as a checking box. I like when I used my other one this year. So if I fold it over, I like to be able to have it here and just see everything for the whole day right here. With the one I have now, I kind of had to go back and forth. I had some on this row, and then I had some on this row, and I had to go back and forth. Whereas I want to be able to just leave it like this and see the day's layout. So that was one thing that I really, really liked. And I also like that they have enough spots to put several things. Like when you have the layout this way, I found that you tend to get less lines per subject, which also made it harder to use. So there is a spot for 5. So if you want, each child to have something in each subject, you could do, again, it's laid out for 5 students. Some of my kids do more than one thing per subject and some do less, so I'll function that. I also like that they have a spot for Saturday and Sunday. Even though those aren't technically part of our homeschool week, there are a few things that I plan to do on the weekends with dad, or just appointments or extra notes for the weekend. Or if we don't get something done during the week that I really needed to get done, but we had a crazy busy week, I could, mark it over here. So I actually like this layout. Was probably the biggest thing that sold me on it because this was exactly what I was looking for. So then you have all of the weeks for the month laid out the same. And then you have a reflections for the month. So you had a planning or goals page in the beginning and a reflection page at the end. From 1 to 10, how did things go? So you can just kind of mark how you felt the month overall went and why. List 3 successes that you had in this month and 3 things that you'd like to improve. And I like the simplicity of this. One, because I think at the end of the year, sometimes it's hard to go back and remember what exactly happened over each month. And so having just a little bit of something to go back and go like, oh yeah. And when you feel like you've had a hard month, to be able to list some successes you had, I think is super helpful. But also to be able to contemplate, like, what do we actually need to change? So having an intentional spot to do that, something you're thankful for, something memorable, and then some personal habit trackers for you, or if you wanted to use them for your kids, and then another page just for notes. And then each month is laid out about the same with all those pages. And then at the very end, you have a records tab or student records sheet. And there's 2 things back here. One, they have some grade sheets, which they have, I think, 8 of these, and you could put by name, subject, semester, and then you can do grade. Now, my kids at the ages they are especially, we're probably not going to utilize this a whole lot, but some people might. One thing I appreciate having on here, because I feel like as a homeschooler, I never really know how to grade things, especially being raised homeschool, they actually have a grading scale. So 100% to 97, 96, 94, they actually kind of show you what that is. So that would actually make it easier to do a grading yourself, having that just kind of right there. So I like that. So they have 8 of those pages, and then they have an attendance record, and they have one for each child. And a detail that they thought of that I would not have thought of until the end of year is that they kept the opposing side for each attendance record blank, so that you can take this out for each child and put it with their records versus having like one child on this side and one child on the side and being like, oh, I guess I got to photocopy one to put it. But these are actually meant to be able to take out at the end of the year and have it just for each child individually. So they left that side blank so that you could use it that way. And I really like having an attendance record for each child. We are doing one just kind of as a family this year, but when like one of my kids gets sick, they might take the day off, but the other one might still do it. And so it's been kind of interesting for me to figure out like, how do I measure that? And so having one for each child actually is really nice for me. That's something I like. And then there we go. The back says, mothers work wonders once they are convinced that wonders are demanded of them. And that is a Charlotte Mason quote. But I just think this is a beautiful, high quality, really well thought out, simple enough that I don't feel like there's a tons of extra pages that I just don't know what to do with, but enough stuff and enough space and the right things that I also don't feel like I'm lacking in pages. And I know I mentioned there's a couple pages in here that I don't really know if we're going to use. That does not bother me in the least because I plan a lot of things out on my computer in Excel and stuff, and I like to print those out and paste those into my actual planner. So having a few pages in here that I'm not going to use, I'll paste my Excel sheets into those pages, and that will work just perfect for us. Okay, guys, that's what it looks like inside. If you have any questions for me, let me know. But I'm honestly just really excited to be able to start using this year. It's so high quality. It's so beautiful. It's just what we need. I think it's going to work wonderfully for us. And I am really excited to be able to start planning and put pen to paper.